Continue. Well, hi, everyone. It's May 5th, and we're going to have a workshop on reset and ropes and poles and whatever we'd like to talk about because of sunshine rules. So present is Linda Laird and myself, Renee Maville, and not present is John Sylvia, Richard Pyle, and
Bob Walters.
Walter. Thank you, Linda. So without further so the workshop will now commence, and we can start with the PDF presentation that I put together called Reset. If we can just get the first page, and yes, Linda, this is
Renee?
wide open, so you can.
Renee, why don't we do the reset stuff we need to all talk about? I thought we could knock off ropes and poles, but I think you and I talking about it, we need the other participants to make progress. I think it's wasted.
Okay, well, no, it won't be wasted because at least it's aired for the first time and it won't be the last discussion. But it's the people that chose to make it today are able to see what it is and also have me explain it. And I'm sure I'll be explaining it again. But I think it's important because a lot of the community is maybe going to check it out later. And I do understand what you're saying. And but on the other hand, I think it's even important for the staff to kind of understand where we were 35 years ago. It's, you know, it's, again, but if you indulge me, and thank you for coming. I really.
Okay, well, I have a present. I've thought about your presentation, and I have a presentation that talks about, okay, so now where are we, what to do? But it seems like we're spending a lot of, I don't know. Okay, go ahead and go.
Okay, so because ropes and poles are, this is going to be pretty quick and clean. All right, so first of all, I call this reset evaluations, reconsidering and modification. So we go to the next slide. And this is basically the format for 20 years of beach renourishment under what Dick Pyle called the golden years. Can we go, he said, can we go back to the golden times? And that always resonated, that question, with Dick. And I knew what he was talking about. So we go to the next slide. So Linda, first of all, when did you come to the island? I know I've asked that question before, but was it like
late 90s?
Late 90s.
Well,
okay.
I mean, when did I become a homeowner?
Yeah, I mean, really involved
About
here.
95. But when did I really?
Okay. So you've been here quite some time. All right. Did you ever know or meet Allison?
No.
Okay. Well, basically, Allison Hagerup started, I think, as the assistant director, like an assistant. And I forgot the name of the lady that was running it. And then there was a chairman who got involved. His name was Steve Cutler. And he brought about the ability to bring the island together and get the first referendum for a beach renourishment because it failed 2 times before. But these are the accomplishments with an office of one, where she did the 4 island-wide beach renourishments. She organized the nation's first emergency beach maintenance plan, which basically means if we get hit with a giant storm, we don't have to ask permission to put back the entire island should we need to, because we have the easements of all the property owners via a referendum. She collected all the taxes. And what was really profound was that Allison really had wonderful relationships with not just the county, the state, and the feds, but she got us more money than we're getting now. And she also maintained the parking lot. And she also, these are some of her highlights, began the process to successfully reopen Blind Pass. And the Army Corps reached out to us because she had this folksy, down home, very transparent relationship with all these people, and people liked her. And to be candid, when she passed away, I think half the island showed up for her funeral. The only larger attendance for her funeral was Sam Bailey's. So she was really liked by everyone. And the thing was, because, and well, here, let's go to the next one. So what was her greatest asset? And it was trust. people trusted her. You know, she didn't make stuff up. She didn't try to cover up. She didn't say one thing and mean another. There was no agenda. She was a local girl. She loved where she worked. And the workload wasn't that hard because for 7 of the 8 years, one, it's administration. So, you know, the phone might ring, it might not, and there's a little project going on and how's it, you know, going? You know, it wasn't like crazy busy, but there wasn't emails then. And Linda, I assume you've read this already, but I mean, did you look at it at all or?
Yeah, I looked at it all and I studied it.
Oh, you did? Okay, so I don't want to read verbatim. There's nothing more boring than a a PowerPoint where someone's reading word for word. But what I wanted to mention though is that Allison was an open book and she was very interested when she would reach out to people and had a great way of transmitting the thoughts of the board to the people she interacted with and vice versa. So there was a lot of trust and there was a lot of simple solutions too, because we had our challenges. And so the other part is she also didn't focus on little things. It was always the big things, like making sure we had a really fantastic relationship with the Army Corps of Engineers, with the county. I mean, if you ask Steve Boutel about Allison, you know, you'll hear the angels sing in the background, meaning that, wow, she was great to work with. She was special. But it was an easy rapport, no tension, no anything. And it was the same with all the other people. People liked working with her because she was just easy and she was well informed and she really embraced and appreciated other people's opinion. And so people trusted her. There was a great trust. It's a big word. It's an important word. And then we never got more money than we did then. We don't get anywhere. We don't get the money that we used to get before. So let's go to the next slide. So this is kind of the be all tell all. So we started in 84 to 2008. Allison's working alone. Then in 2006, she had the beginning signs of cancer. Apparently she kept it from everyone, but she really wanted someone to help her, you know, put stuff away, files, etc. I remember when she hired a person to go in there and organize the files, and they put all the files out and say, show me what's important. And then they had a third of the stuff and everything was in her head. It was Mike Mullins who figured a way to hire someone to do a procedural manual. So then Allison passes away and we select this person. There wasn't much to select from, to be candid, but this lady was a former principal and she seemed right for the job. We chose her and she was there for 10 years. And she got this part-time and then sometimes full-time assistant, John Bralove, he was always there at CEPD, can I help you? And again, like Mabry RFD. And the most compelling thing is there was really no change in workload. And what is that workload? Well, a beach renourishment, a side project, whether it was opening Blind Pass or getting the legislation passed for the emergency response plan. But there was beach renourishment and there was the telling, the decision of what our taxes were going to be for the beach renourishment and the collecting and the parking lot. So I put down the 3 items, which is, you know, what I just said. So then in 2019, we get first Damon Grant. And Damon Grant, I thought was pretty interesting, nice guy, but apparently there was a clash because the contractor who was and what the contractor is just someone that he gets paid X amount of dollars and he takes that money and hires people to run the CEPD and he has to kind of manage it. So we went from Bob Gray to an engineer who used to be on the board named Hans Wilson. And again, no change or increase in the workload. So then recently we hired Jennifer Nelson And we wound up with, Dan, James Elston, part-time Lindsay Wood, Laura Pegler, significant change in the workload. So we've doubled the amount of staff, and the infrastructure is kind of interesting. So go to the next, but there's no change in the workload. So you have to say to yourself, well, wait a second. We've had a lot of missteps in the past year, a lot of angst, a lot of confusion, a lot of mistakes, of things being sent, maybe rancor during meeting, and unsolicited being sent to others to create, potential. It was just, like I said in my letter. So this is what I think is needed. I think we need a CEPD staff that's loyal and dedicated to the Captiva Island vision and its residents. And we need people that are hands-on, roll up the sleeves and do the actual work. And, research itself culture like we used to. And then a very transparent communications to all involved, building trust with the islanders. Again, Allison's trust was unshakable. It was what she was. And then, I'd like to see more of a congenial, non-political agenda atmosphere where, if someone had something to say, they would, go out and say it. It's like there's too many, we're becoming too, it's becoming like a congressional hearing. Okay, well, it's your turn and this turn. And I understand and I respect it because I know John Sylvia comes from that culture. So he's doing what he knows best. But on the other hand, it's nice to somehow meet in the middle. And the most important thing is the culture of creative and imaginative thinking, simple solutions, and respect for historical island successes. What did we do right? Let's figure out what we did right and how we did it. And not making, confusing, not figuring out what's doing wrong and the rancor. All right, so let's go to the next slide, the final slide. Oh, no. This is the final slide. So now this is my opinion, but I stand by this, and I know a lot of people in the community feel the same way. But we need a more streamlined staff with less layers of superfluous supervision, more directed, clear responsibilities, and a smaller, more agile staff. I mean, how is it that we run for 28, 30 some odd years with 1.5 people actually in that office? And now we go to 5 and we're making more mistakes. We're raising less money. We're getting less done. Do you know that, for example, we have a newsletter. It's supposed to go out 3 times a year. Last newsletter was done last summer. So the thing is, there's a lot of overlooking. There's a lot of not being at the office or not being involved, et cetera. So this is my opinion. And I wanted to make sure it's public, but the issue at hand is Jennifer, our director, has a lot of energy. She's ambitious. She's smart. But the big city type atmosphere or big city type tactics that she supervises everyone, that's not a good fit. That's not what we need. We don't need someone to tell other people what to do. We need someone who's actually doing the work to, so I really don't think that unfortunately Jennifer is a good fit for the CEPD because of those reasons, because her technique, her style, what she's learned and what she's bringing, it's not what we need. It's superfluous. We don't need someone to tell Dan to call this one or that one. Dan already knows, so, oh, it's your, so it's becoming like the movie Brazil with Terry Gilliam, where there's 47 people to do one task. And I think that's the final slide. Is it, James?
Yep.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring out what we had and where we're at now and what we need to do about it. Because the final thing is, Linda and the board, the staff, is that we're going into an administrative mode. And we have all these outsourced vendors. For sea level rise, we have the engineering firm that's pitching us, Aptum, that directly responds to the CEPD. We have the SCCF, we have Carrie, whose responsibilities are to assist us and shepherd us and guide us, along with the city of Sanibel, but we're being a major proponent of her employment. And now we have the firm that's been hired by Cell Seas to look at island resilience. And it's going to be sort of centered around the needs of Cell Seas, which is understandable. And also we have the community panel as a community outreach mechanism. So really the role of the CEPD is to guide policy with the people that care about it, such as yourself, Linda, who the main reason you're on this board is because sea level rise, we're counting on you to be the person with the binoculars at the front of the ship, bringing us to the promised land. So, but we have all these vendors at our disposal. So our staff, their job during this now administrative period is going to be collecting the data, putting it on the website, encouraging people to participate, interacting with the panel to make sure that they understand what they're looking at from our view, helping us guide policy. So really, we're talking 2 people and maybe an assistant tops. So what I'm trying to say is we have to realize that what we tried last year is not working, is too many missteps with the multiple items that occurred, such as almost not, and we can always point fingers, it's this person's fault, that person's fault. But we don't need a supervisor. We need a person that is going to interact with the vendors, know what they're talking about, interact with the board members, and do what we had before, which has worked for 34 years, 35 years. So I wanted to point this out to just show the facts and now again, it's my opinion, but it's important that it's out there to be understood. I think, as I said in my letter, that this is not the right fit for Jennifer. She should be running a bigger business with 40, 50 employees, or, she's used to Cape Coral is a very big city. And if you're a council person in Cape Coral, that's a big responsibility. That's a lot of work, so you can't run Coke and Pepsi at the same time. I mean, no one's ever done it. And it's not working. That's the bottom line. It's not working. It's, so I just wanted to be the person to have the courage enough to tell the public it's not working. We got to do something about it. So that was the purpose of this presentation, to get it out there, to no longer, be clandestine about it, and put it in a very, hopefully, professional and kind manner to say, why can't we do what has been successful and have a person running the CEPD that knows what they're doing, understands the mechanization of the interaction with the engineers. The political thing, we, kept the Captiva residents from the president of the United States on down is 1 degree of separation, especially with the local people that count. And having a person that can interact with them that they like and respect and know what they're talking about and don't feel like, that they're not, well, you know what I'm saying. So, and I think we have that person already, but anyway, so I'm done. Is there any questions from either staff or Linda at this point before we conclude?
It's pretty straightforward and pointed out a lot of things. I don't have any questions.
I'm not sure what to do at this point. Some of the things I agree with Renee, some I don't. I think that I'm not sure what to do at this point, which means it's probably better off thinking about it. I'll make a few comments though. One is we've agreed on some, excuse me. Sorry.
Take your time, Linda, take your time. It's not-
We've agreed on a budget for the staff. Yeah, and first, Renee, I really appreciate you working on this, thinking about it, trying to figure out how to fix it, okay? I'm concerned that all of the people since Allison, and I could be off, or most of the people since Allison, we've had not the greatest endings with, shall we say. We've had some suits threatened. We've got, I don't know what all. I just remember quite a few of them, and they were not the best endings. So I am concerned that Allison may have been all wonderful, but she could be a Michael Jordan of this and growing into the job, learning it. So we may have a one-off. And so the idea that we can have another Allison Maiden, where are we getting another Michael Jordan? If LeBron drops on us, great. So I'm concerned about that. And I think maybe the issue may be with us, the CEP commissioners, et cetera, in what we're asking of the people and how we treat the people. I think your comment, which I hadn't understood before, about having somebody who's a supervisor, an executive director who's a supervisor of people, is an interesting point versus a hands-on person. I think that's a very interesting point. I have to think about that. I believe also we're hamstrung by the sunshine laws, which have been going on for a long time. So that was pre-Allison. But so where am I going with? And I think bringing up the staffing, overstaffing continually tends to make an insecure workplace for people, which isn't a positive atmosphere. I think we're sending that people think we're dysfunctional. I'm concerned about our employees leaving and that we will not be able to hire people because people think the CEPD doesn't treat people well. I'm concerned about those kind of things. Okay. Now,
So-
what do I think we should do? I think whatever the budget is right now. If we want to change the budget, that we should stop, we shouldn't keep talking about cutting staff, because the budget is the budget. We at CEPD agreed to that budget and they're on budget. Okay. So I think people shouldn't be afraid for their jobs all the time. Now, if we want to talk about whether or not Jennifer is the right fit for this, I don't feel like this is the time to do that, especially with her having surgery today on her eye. That just seems to me to be not what I want to be doing. I think talking about having a flatter structure is an interesting idea. What I think we should be doing, okay, so I'm going to switch a little bit and move off that. And how should we, the CEPD, be managing things? I think we, the commissioners, should be taking more responsibility for the individual projects that, like, we have projects of financials, we have projects of sea level rise, we have projects of ropes and poles, and that they should sort of be assigned to one of the commissioners who then can work with the staff as much as they want. I'm probably not being clear at this point in time.
No, you are, but Linda, we're kind of doing that. I mean, Dan and I have had 20 conversations going back and forth with the ropes and poles. And going back.
Except I get involved too.
Well, yeah, but who, haven't you talked to Dan on the village side? You're in charge of the village of,
Yeah,
what's
I have
happening.
talked to him about that,
Yeah,
but I guess what I'm trying to say is,
I agree with you, by the way, but I think it's already happening for the activists that are active. So for example, you're an active board member.
right.
I'm an active board member.
Well, I think what we should do is,
And that's
basically,
new. Usually there was just one.
right, and it shouldn't be just be the chairperson either. So, I guess I would see going to a way of working where the commissioner is responsible, like for the ropes and poles. I felt like we had voted for stuff on ropes and poles, and then it didn't look right. And then we were holding our staff responsible for it being not right, which I thought was bad. And I had voted for it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Well, wait a second, a point of clarification. I believe at that meeting that we all were to blame. Aptum was blamed for not showing renderings to be more specific. Our staff was to blame for not showing renderings to be more specific or generating a map that they had the data to. We were responsible for not asking the questions, hey, guys,
right.
how about
Yeah.
showing us what we're approving? So we collectively were at fault. We
Yeah.
owned it together.
But what
We didn't blame them.
I felt we were, I felt we were. I feel like if I were one of these staff people, I would feel beat up, Renee,
Hmm.
and
Well,
and scared for my job.
Mm,
That's how I feel. That's what I think I would feel. And
right.
I haven't asked these two sitting here if they feel that way. But I think we have to be more supportive of our staff and give more leadership from the commissioners on the various items. I think it's set up right now that the executive director is somehow supposed to be all knowing and do all of this, or the commission or the chairman is, but I don't think that's working right.
No, it isn't, but a case in point is the following. So first of all, Dan was supposed to go to the Sebastian Inlet.
We should ask them how they feel.
Well, I want to get to that because I've had multiple conversations with the people there. And what I wanted to interject when it comes to longevity of good employees is that you take care of them. And what I mean by that is I would like to see, once we decide, and again, I vehemently feel that Jennifer is not, nor will she ever be a good fit for the CEPD. This is not in her DNA. It's not the way she's set up. It's just not going to work. And now that's just my opinion. But if we were to assign, for example, an existing staff member or, put out an RFP, and one of the things would be after a certain period, like a trial period of a year, I would love to change the structure where that person becomes a salaried employee and gets to participate in the Florida pension fund and have a real salary, a real future, because that's the way we used to do it with Allison. And also a case in point is just from, like you mentioned, these other two people, the past two directors, Kathy Rooker. Kathy Rooker was fine. And then David Jensen fired Bob Gray to manage and put in Hans Wilson. And this guy, Damien, he was great. Everyone liked him, but he quit. And it had to be because he wanted to run it. Hans was, there was friction. There was friction. Hans was always forgive me, there was a negative tone with him. He had a great, background, but
To me, it
but
does.
my point is there was acrimony. That's all I'm saying. So Damien left, Joe took the replacement. I don't know what happened between Michael and Joe, but Kathy Rooker wanted to insert her son to take over her job. He had no qualifications, and she even changed his last name so they wouldn't put two and two together. I mean, it was like, are you serious? I came back on the board because of that, because of what is going on here. How can these people be so unaware that, and Kathy Rooker, in all fairness, at first she started out great, but I noticed that she was on a board for the Parks and Recreation and another board. So 2 of the 5 days, she wasn't even coming to work. No one knew about it. I asked about it. I asked Mike if he knew about it. And then the other thing was, you'd see her at Costco at 2 o'clock, and she'd always like turn away. She didn't want to be seen. So the job became so, there wasn't that much to do. Administration mode, Linda, it's going to be slow. So
That's if what we want to do is reduce the budget, and then as the staff accordingly, we should, that's okay, but let's do that at budget time. You know, I mean, we have to talk about it beforehand. It's just,
and the other thing is,
let's ask these guys how they feel.
yeah,
And I don't know what you get to say at this point and what I would say if I were either one of you. And so I think that,
can I say one more thing?
I don't think this is a good idea to have you guys say this on the record in this. No,
Well,
I don't know how to do it, but I don't want to do it this way.
I understand, but I'm just floating this. We don't have to make any decisions. I'm saying it's time to publicly state what I wrote in a letter that was publicly published about what needed to happen, in my opinion. So this isn't brand new news or springing it on anybody. And furthermore, I also believe, and I you know, that whoever becomes the director, that person should choose who they want their assistant to be, not us, because they have to work with that person. So, and they should have the kind of salary and security because they've earned it, because they've already demonstrated it.
Well,
So yes, if we were to make changes, there would be no fear of losing their job unless they became incompetent.
I don't think that, well, whatever. And I don't want to ask you guys out in public here, and I think you not looking at the camera right now is a good idea. That was sort of a joke.
He's watching the camera on his computer.
Okay, but whatever.
I mean, I can speak up and
Ed's
say,
gonna talk, let him talk.
I mean, I've never been one to hide feelings or anything like that. I think there are some challenges that come with this position. And, you know, a lot of it stems from fractured communication, whether it be between board members or staff members and board members or what, but
What do you mean by pressured communication?
I said fractured.
Fractured.
Correct. I think that sometimes, you know, people have different ideas of how to accomplish a goal, and while the intentions may be good, they don't align with one another. That sometimes creates difficulties in performing the job, which is fine. I don't expect everything to go fine 100% of the time. There's going to be communication breakdowns, but I think that, you know, as far as fear of losing a position, personally, I don't feel that I've been in that position where I feel like it, but I feel like when I come to work, I come to perform every day and just let the performance of the work speak for itself.
Mm-hmm.
And if, you know, that performance isn't up to snub, then, you know, maybe I've got really thick skin from getting yelled at for years in the Army, but you know, at times, sometimes I may need rough direction. Sometimes, other times, maybe, you know, sometimes there's a lot to it, and it's all in how you make the situation. I think that I would probably agree that there is a lot of tension sometimes between staff and board members, and that definitely makes it difficult to perform the job. And I would absolutely, regardless of what happens going forward or whatever, I would love to see that smoothed out, because everybody on this island is successful in some capacity. And I think there's a great opportunity to be that, you know, gold standard district. And, you know, I know Renee loves the Sebastian Inlet district, but I'm ready. We can shut them down and they can be looking up to us.
Hey, Linda, one more thing. Do you remember when Bob Walter gave the presentation of their new company that was going to go to see, the Island Resiliency?
Yeah.
You were part of that. Do you remember when I said, "Where's Carrie?" And do you remember what Jennifer said? Oh, I
Yes, I know.
told her. And,
Just a
and,
minute. Renee, I know all of this. I
okay,
know
but,
all-
but
I know
that is
all of it.
my, but this is my point. We can't have that
I know all of this.
toxicity of communication. Because
know.
when, like Bob, Bob doesn't know what I was really driving at.
I know what you were driving at.
I know, but Bob doesn't know. See, that's my point. That creates dissension. When you have an alpha person creating that kind of communication, it's just never going to change. It's never going to work because it's about them and covering up. And we can't have that. We never had that before, and we shouldn't have to tolerate it. And it's never going to change. So the point is, we have to take for our island. Look, we live here. We care about this place. We want to protect our taxpayers' dollars. We want to do the right thing. And what I'm saying is, there are people in the staff right now that feel like we do and are very honored to be here and know that they have a place in the sun here. So the point is, we have to, at some point, we just have to be out with it. And, it's never going to be good timing, but I'm just saying that these are issues. This is my opinion on a solution that we need to reevaluate, and it doesn't have to be a long-winded thing. We're going into a very slow period, and we have all these vendors. And right now, because we think you're going to take the leadership role with the Island Resiliency Campaign.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. I'm
Yeah,
doing that.
so,
I'm
so
okay
my,
with that.
but my point, Linda, is that you want to be able to call Dan up, and Dan's got so much information to you because he's had a nice sit down with this one or that one. And every word that comes out of his mouth makes sense, and it's the honest truth. And it's not fluffing it up to pretend like they had this or that. That's what you want. That's what you have right now with Dan. And so all we have now is we're going to need a staff to collect taxes, present the information, help us guide policy. And we don't need a supervisor to tell these people to do what they should be doing. And it's not meant as a criticism. It's just that that's the way Jennifer is wanting to run this organization, and it's
So
not good.
talk to me,
It's not working.
okay, so the part I don't get about this, and I have no experience with, is trying to work with Tallahassee,
Mhm.
okay? And our lobbyist, and then now Noah, and it seems to me like what we should do is put someone on the board who could be John, since John is at least familiar with government. I don't think he's familiar with getting grants, but at least he understands government or better than I do. But we need somebody who's focused on getting grants and working with lobbyists. And I would think Jennifer knows a lot in that area, I think. I don't know for sure, but having somebody on the board responsible and then working with our staff to make that happen. So what am I trying to say here?
Well, why don't you ask Dan who's right now finding the money? His name is Dan. Dan is the one actually out there researching where the grants are, who to talk to, and getting the grants that we're entitled to. He's getting the actual hard data. He's doing the job. We do have lobbyists. And do you know that the firm that was just hired by South Seas is the daughter of the owner of our lobbyist? I forgot her name. Is the son, excuse me. So Mike Mullins warned me that stay on top of them, because if you don't task them, what's going to happen is they're just going to give you reports and just take your money. You is rhetorical, but we have to stay on top, and we have to have direction. They don't grant right. They do not grant right.
No, but I
And
think what we
supposedly Carrie is supposed to help us with that.
Who is?
I'd like to clarify too, I'm
Very human.
not in pursuit of any additional grants at this time. I'm simply analyzing the grants that we've already been awarded and applying what we've done to try to maximize the dollars out of the grants that we've already been awarded.
Right.
But it seems to me like one of the commissioners, I think I'm trying to sort of, decompose the CEPD job and give individual commissioners individual responsibilities such that they can work with the staff and the community, and then come back, and then when they need policy decisions, come back and talk, tell us each month what you did. If we need intermediate meetings, which I think we would, but like somebody own it, not just sort of push it off on the staff. And if they don't do it right, we say, okay, you didn't do a good job. I have no idea.
No, Linda, it's always been that way. That's what I'm trying to explain. The Commissioner Stephen Cutler was very, very active because he would go through Allison, because Allison had a really good rapport with Colonel so-and-so, I forgot his name.
Yep.
But he would point out the rationale why we deserved a grant, because he'd do his homework, he'd call around, et cetera. And Jennifer used to bring home, not Jennifer, Allison would be successful. So what I'm trying to point out collectively is that we now have Carrie Schumann, who's supposed to be out there helping to identify grants. We have a lobbyist that's supposed to be helping identify grants. And then it's a question of grant writing to put in the correct writing. So we already have that mechanism in place. Now, what we don't have, or we really do have, because we're not there yet, is we have commissioners driving. Okay, so tell us the meeting or a workshop saying, okay, tell us the prospective grants out there. What are the possibilities? What have you seen, Carrie Schumann? Tell us what you got. What do you know? That's a meeting. And no, we got this, we got that. Okay,
We
where
need
we got that?
ownership, Renee. We don't need, tell me what you got. We need
Well,
ownership.
ownership is saying, interacting with these people to say, we're paying you. So tell us what you've found so far. I mean, if you're saying that I have to go through guides, or you have to go through guides to find out where the grants, where the potential grants
No,
are.
I don't think you should have, I think we're
We're
lucky we
paying-
have staff. We have staff and people to help us as opposed to
That's
the panel, right? We're lucky and they're very capable.
Right.
But it's like, one of us should own this, work with the staff, give them direction, help them through obstacles when needed, and be accountable for it.
Well, of the five of us, who do you think is going to rise to the occasion to find where the potential, to assist them, to drive them, to move forward?
To get a
be
plan in
productive,
place
find
to
the
get
money?
it and all of that. Who do I think? Not me, because I'm busy. How's that?
Right.
With sea level rise. Okay.
But the
So-
grants we're looking for are to pay for the sea level rise.
I understand that. I understand that. So it could be that we're going
According
to
to
get,
Aptum, forgive me, excuse me, according to Aptum, they're going to show us where potential grants are. and
well,
then
that
help
would
us
be
fill them in.
great. And
And
if that,
according to Carrie, she's supposed to do that too. She said this is something she can do. And then we have the lobbyist firm. So, but bear with me. We just got illustrated a perfect example, and in a way it's coming to a happy ending. And that is, no one realized our economist was giving us very weak numbers for our beach renourishment benefits. And not only has it progressed since the last workshop we had, but Dan spoke at length with Mike Mullins, and Mike Mullins gave a beautiful example of a narrative. And also Dan just found more money because he found more math errors. I mean, Dan can explain it and he will be explained, but the bottom line is we are excelling because we're probing, we're asking, we're becoming proactive.
right,
But
and we're working it.
that proactivism is me, Mike Mullins,
Yeah.
Dan, and Dr. Strong. Those are the people that are doing 99% of this activity. Why? I'm into it. I know we can get a
You
better.
also
feel.
understand it well, too.
Right. So I think what I'm saying is that organically, everyone is taking ownership when it's something that's in their wheelhouse. So when it comes to, if Aptum starts with renderings, you think, well, what kind of direction is that? You're going to jump in with both feet. I have confidence in you that that's going to happen, just like you have confidence in me that if things are going slow, I'm going to go in there with a baseball bat and say, come on, let's move, let's go. Come on, this is ridiculous. We wasted 3 weeks. This is nonsense. Enough. So I wouldn't be as concerned as you. I have total faith that we will take ownership for the initiatives, and we have all these outsourced people. So our current staff is going to be in administrative mode to make sure the website is operative, that people are getting the information when they need it, and they're not afraid to call up and say, hey, I just spoke with so-and-so. We might have a problem. Can you work your magic, Linda? Or, Allison would call up on anything to the chairman or some board member that could be of help, always. And wasn't afraid to say that it, because she knew she had her job. It was a lock. She knew, like Dan just said, if he knows he's doing a good job, it shows by the way people talk to you and treat you. So again, I don't like the lady who gave Lindsay. Lindsay lives in Naples. According to Lindsay, she lives in Naples. And that's a long ride, an hour and a half, 2 hours to come to work somewhere. I'm just, and even if it's part-time,
She's no longer with us.
yeah, I know, but I was just saying, I was surprised at that hire. And I asked her where she worked. And according to her, she worked at an air conditioning place. And I thought Lindsay was fantastic on the phone. She was polite, she was articulate, she was friendly, she was great. I mean, in that respect, she was great. But what do we need her for? What in God's name do we need her for? When you looked at Dan, what was the name of that chart? The
But
organization.
that's past. Okay, so let's keep
It's an
going.
explanation of the infrastructure that we decided to do. And we have to own up to say, not working, time to reset.
Okay,
That's all I'm trying to say.
well, I'm hearing you. I need to think more. I also think that we need to change some of our behaviors, so, okay. Is that,
From a behavior perspective, I was very touched by Chairman Sylvia's respect and attitude towards me at the last meeting. That meant a lot to me.
okay?
Well.
I don't know what you're talking about. I missed the reference.
You weren't at the last meeting.
I was at the next to last. I was at the last meeting, not at the next to last.
Oh, no. The one before that, what had happened was I was accused of initialing a new precedent. And he was absolutely incorrect because we did this for 3 beach renourishments. We didn't do it for the last one. So how can you be initiating a new precedent? He made it sound like I had an agenda and all that. And I was really upset. And I said,
Oh.
that's not right. I said, you're better than that. And he didn't respond, but the following thing, he was very, very polite. No, it was fine. Hey, listen, sometimes you have to.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
go to the next topic equals next.
All right, so you're done. Those are your comments, right?
Well, for right now.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, I'm just taking it out there. This is not, we're not going to have a.
Okay, but the topic is how should the CEPD be organized to be effective? That's really what the topic is, right?
No, the topic is we are not organized. We have issues. We have had issues with this much larger staff. We need to change it. And we need to do this right. And for some reason, I keep going back to, whoa, for 30 some odd years, we did it this way and it worked just fine. And as far as the last.
I don't see that it did work just fine. I think it was probably, I don't see data that shows me that. I see data that says Allison did a great job.
Right. Well, wait a second. Think about that comment. We did our beach renourishments. They were successful. We collected our taxes. And outside of the Kathy Rooker retired. It had nothing to do with she was unhappy. Damon left because he got a much better job and he moved to Naples.
Somebody
Joe
was
was fired.
suggesting, I remember somebody trying to sue us. And
Yeah.
I remember somebody else saying that some of the chair people were lying. And I don't know who that was. And I just saw that. I remember
Well,
Hans and Mike yelling at each other and getting
Right.
all upset about that. So I have 3 within my memory.
okay,
It
so
didn't work out so great.
if-
And then there's this one. So it's like, oh, we're on a roll.
well, yeah, but if one were to pay more astute attention, Joe Wagenti was trying to claim hostile environment. And we had a lawyer look at it, and the lawyer said, there's absolutely nothing here. And if he wants to pursue it, he can, but there's absolutely nothing here. And there was, it was just hearsay and it wasn't really accurate. And bottom line is Joe Wagenti did nothing. Now, it's common practice for some people when they know they're on their way out to create what we call a shakedown, where they look for anything because they figure, oh, well, they got an insurance policy. Maybe I can exit out with an extra 50 grand or 100 grand. It's very common, unfortunately. So, you have to, we live in a different environment, Linda. It's not the 80s, 90s, when we
Well,
got our life together.
whatever. Okay, so you have your view. I think I'm very open-minded. And I want to
Okay.
make it work.
Okay, well, we want to make it work and we want to have a great team and we want to have people that work and not supervise, my opinion, and a lot of the community's opinion. And we're getting in less money. We're getting less done, even though we're taking on new challenges. And it's not working the way it is. It's just not working. I mean, it's not
Okay.
bad, but it's not
Okay.
fun.
So let's go to polls and
Okay,
votes.
okay. Let's do that. All right, Dan.
Okay, well, the first thing I want to update you all on, which I sent out in an email, is that we received a quote from Bob Johnson for the removal of fencing. And he's quoted us at $250 to $300 for each access that we would like removed. And that's to include removing them off the beach and then storing the materials in our parking lot for the time being until we decide to add additional locations. Which brings us, we also requested a quote for the addition of dune fencing locations, and Bob has requested additional information because there's been discussion about displeasure with the aesthetics of the ropes and poles. So I wanted to seek guidance from you all if we are seeking to maybe increase the size of the rope, if we'd like to wrap the rope. Either one of those choices would involve removing all the rope that we've currently purchased and replacing it with new, because the rope is strung taut through the fence posts because there's not enough slack to wrap the current rope. So we'd have to replace all the rope if we decide to do that. So I wanted to get that guidance from at least you all who have attended.
The two of us. So I know within the village, I think that you can't have that tight rope, and I think that's a problem that should be remediated by the vendor. I don't know if they'll do it or not, but I think the fact that it is so tight is wrong. I don't know if we can get them to redo it or not.
I don't believe that they would do that because we specified the material that we wanted them to use. And I believe they didn't give us an itemized cost breakdown of the materials, but of the two, the rope would be the cheaper of the two materials to replace. And I think a lot of the issues with the aesthetics is simply the ratio of the thickness of the poles coupled with the thinness of the ropes. It makes it look off because there are certain sections along the beach that have thick poles, but they also have thick ropes and look very nice. Like in front of the entrance to Twin Waters is one that comes to mind. They have very thick poles with thick ropes and it looks nice. But I just, if we can come to a decision, it doesn't necessarily have to be today, but I want to bring up these conversations because I would like to get some direction maybe at the meeting on Monday from all the commissioners if we would like to increase the rope thickness, and if so, if we can get a specific on what to obtain the quote with.
Daniel, before you keep going on, I think that I believe that having them so tight was an incorrect installation by the vendor.
Okay.
That they shouldn't be that tight, and that was their mistake, not our mistake.
All right, so let me interject. Unfortunately, this is Aptam's mistake. And it's our mistake for not asking exactly how they're going to do the polls. Because they told us the linear footage. And had we asked, are you going to wrap them around and make them droop a little? We didn't ask that question because we assumed that they would do it. They, meaning whoever did it before, was a little more aesthetic. So what happened was the new guy said, hey, I told you this, you know.
But it wasn't aesthetic, it's technical. mean-
Okay, that's your
Okay, if
opinion.
one goes down, this is what George tells me. George is our maintenance man, who one goes down, the rest go down. And that is not really what you want, because
Oh,
there's,
that's a good angle, but you know, getting them to come back and do all that.
no, but that's the issue, is they're all tied tightly together. Whereas if you have and we have all these things all over our property,
But
and they all have
Linda-
to be like that, because otherwise,
I would disagree because you're right technically, but they're not going down because they're 4 feet in the ground. They're not
Mm.
going anywhere. There's
Well-
just not enough. I mean, it would take Godzilla stepping on them.
so the rope will break instead.
Yeah, the rope, well, the rope would just fray. I don't know, but I don't think that that rationale would work. We're kind of stuck is the bottom line. We're stuck because, again, we're at fault for not saying, show us some pictures, show us renderings. Like, we
Well,
didn't. And
We
it's,
should have just
maybe
used
it's my
Bobby
fault.
Johnson. We should have
What's
just used Bobby Johnson to begin with and tell him to go do it the same old way.
Well, the thing is,
Look
we
and
did get them
see.
up, but excuse me, Dan, I have a question. Dan,
Yes.
what is the status on the last 6 that the vendor was going to do? Did he put them in already?
So you and I, we went out and we found 3 locations.
Right.
And we agreed that that would be all that we would do, and we'd close out the
Okay.
contract with that. And I
Right,
reported
right.
that back to Great Lakes, and they're evaluating. So when we receive the final bill, it should reflect the 90 locations instead of the 93. So it would be roughly $2,700 cheaper than that 94,500.
Okay, but my question is, all right, that's great. But my question is, so they're not going to put them in. We're going to have Bob Johnson puts them in those 3 places or what?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay.
If,
so
if
we
we
don't-
so decide to, yes,
Yeah,
but we should
I
be
think-
using the
yeah.
same materials from removal of locations.
So
Um,
then what we're faced with is the decision. We're going to remove some, they're happy.
But
And
we
then
need
the
a
other
lot
one,
more.
what do we do with the rope? Well, I'm sorry, there are some where they
We
want to.
need a lot
continue-
more down in the village area.
So that kind of brings me to my next, the topics that I had kind of lead into one another. So when I'm seeking guidance on the materials, this is so that Bob can go out and quote the price of the materials in addition to his labor for adding.
So,
But because I know that Mr. Sylvia has, I think, roughly about 6 locations that he's anticipating making a motion for to remove in the Tween Water stretch. 6 locations would be roughly 60 poles and the amount of rope that accompanies it. There's 2 locations in the Gold Coast, Renee, that Mr. Wiseman has requested. So I don't know if you've been able to take a look and provide a direction if you would like those.
Did he have them? I'm a little confused. Wiseman was what? The one who, he had someone, he wanted them taken out, or he wants it put in?
He wants them taken out. I've got the locations I'm gonna share up
Right.
here.
And was it a private piece of property? It was just a mistake?
It is.
All right, so we pull them out. That's more ropes and poles for the
Yes.
village, right?
so I think the question, Daniel,
Yes,
so I think the question is, what's the difference in cost I think in general, people would like us to go to thicker ropes and poles. On the other hand, if it's going to be a significant cost, then we have to decide that, because you have to drill it
Right.
and put in. if what we can do is just reuse all of them and be done with it, then we need to know what the difference is in cost.
Right, so I guess if we get that direction, I don't know, if maybe twice the thickness, the what's out there currently is 1/2-inch thick cotton rope. If we look at what 1-inch thick cotton rope is and maybe 1.5-inch thick cotton rope, if those two measurements would suffice for the board, or?
What did we used to have? I don't know.
It was 5/8 or 3/4. Hey, James, can you go on Google and go to Rope Depot and see what 1-inch natural rope is going for 1-inch thick? Because they told us they were paying $1.50 a foot, and I saw it everywhere for 25 cents. 500-foot lengths. But everyone wanted to get it done, and I didn't want to, be the curmudgeon saying that's too
Well,
much.
I keep hearing from our friend here, Bobby, I hear through that he can go fix everything for $20,000 and be done with it.
Yeah, but he doesn't even know what the scope of work is, and that might be way over what we really need.
Well,
Because
if
if we
it's,
go with a thicker rope, are you talking about replacing 1/3 of a mile of rope, replacing everyone's rope?
I don't know. All I know is I've heard he can do it and everybody will be happy. And if we can do that for $20,000, considering the amount of staff time we use on that, I think we should just go do it.
Well, I like your attitude, but just for giggles, let's find out so what you're saying is you would recommend to replace all the ropes on the entire island, which is about 1/3 of a mile. No, it's more. It's almost, what am I saying? It's 2/3 of a mile. It's going to be about 3,500 linear feet. So 3,500, because they had about 3,000 feet of rope. So when you twirl them around, you got to add another 10%. Let's say 1 mile of rope, just to be safe and sound, 1-inch rope. Jeff, do you see anything?
I'm still
Rope
looking
deep.
right now.
Or just a 1-inch rope, not manila, but cotton, or or outdoor, because you don't want, they're always going to try to sell the nylon. I'm just this way, Linda, we have an accurate, because it's going to be labor. They have to re-drill every pole.
Well, here's my view is I know where I've talked, well, I sent it into Dan where they should be. And I know, Dan, you would like specific locations, and what I'm saying, it's where they used to be. And if you ride up and down, you'll see it. I know what needs to happen in the village. I hopefully have communicated it adequately enough. People want the thicker rope. If it's affordable, do it. If it's affordable to re-drill, and I am fine with delegating my vote to Renee Meville, and you work with these guys and make the decision. But I'm fine with.
Oh, no, that's crystal clear. That's crystal clear. Any luck, Jeff, James? Sorry. Oh, sign me up. Oh, Sergeant Knotts. No, you know what that is? No, that's more, it's a Rope Depot. Hang on, let me.
I typed in Rope Depot, nothing came up.
All right, what about just one inch, here, wait a minute, 1-inch cotton rope.
And I think we should put those signs out sooner than later. But I guess especially before the summer people come running around it and camping and doing what else in the dunes. I think
In the high traffic, it's not in rope supply.
You have the signs available.
Yeah, put the signs up. You made beautiful signs. Get those up throughout the village area, especially around the Mucky Duck. Figure out how to cordon off the Mucky Duck. Figure out how to.
All
That's
right.
that's one of the questions and direction that I wanted to get from the board as well. My initial thought was if the access is deemed appropriate enough to have rope and post, would it not be deemed appropriate to have a sign on it as well? Or
I don't think you need it everywhere, because I think it's overkill with some of them.
right, I don't want to create a bunch of sign pollution.
Right.
Okay, so
I would say use your best judgment, Daniel. I think in the village area, especially where you have people coming out in high traffic areas, put them and then scatter a few here and there, but use your best judgment. And then people will complain and then we'll move a few signs.
Okay, so anyway, if we wanted to go with 3/4 inch rope, 500-foot lengths, it would be $4,000. That's a mile of 3/4 inch rope is $4,000.
What about
I'm
drilling?
I'm at knot and rope supply. So that way, what you'd have, you'd have every single, which would be nice. Every, the twirl and the bigger rope and a little bit of a sag. So from an aesthetic perspective, it costs, because I'm looking at knot and rope supply, it's 94 cents for the 3/4 inch, three dash strand cotton. There's a bulk discount also. So you just multiply 10,500, that's 5,000 feet. Times that's,
So I can reach out to Bob Johnson, ask him to give us a quote for the installation utilizing the 3/4 inch cotton. Hopefully that'll
Yeah,
give him
ask him.
enough direction.
all right, so, to do it, say you want to bid for labor plus materials.
And how much does it cost to drill these holes bigger?
Well, that's in the labor. There's no cost in drilling. They just take a twirly thing and they just do it in the thing and take it out. It's hard labor, but it's
It's
not.
either an auger or a post hole.
An auger, thank you, an auger.
But they have to drill a bigger hole in
Same
the,
hole. Oh, you're talking about the drill bit. No, it's one bit. Home
I know it's
Depot.
a bit, but is it hard to drill holes? And I mean,
It's
Yeah.
harder when there's already an existing hole because it's gonna try to grab the drill, but
oh, so it's gonna be easy to put in new holes.
it'll be harder because there's already existing holes, but I know Bob
It's
will
not-
factor
it's
that
not-
into his quote, I'm sure, for the time.
Okay,
spent.
okay, it's not gonna be that hard because you put in an existing hole and just put in a new drill bit and go for it. Okay.
No,
gotcha.
no, Dan is saying it's actually harder. There's something that happens physically that,
When you try to expand an existing hole, it kind of grabs and pulls the drill bit, so it's a
right.
little more intensive labor to do it.
Well, then why don't we just say that Linda and I are for doing it. I don't like the idea of just throwing a number out there. We kind of know with one vendor, rope is going to be about $4,000 to $5,000. That's for 1 mile of 3/4 inch rope. And then what we should all do as a board is just, when you're or just get a piece of a 3/4 inch rope, make sure you're happy with it. You can do
Renee,
1
if
inch.
you're happy with it and go ask Richard Son King if he's happy. You can.
Well,
you
he's
guys,
one
not
person.
you.
There's 400 homeowners on the beach. It's
Yeah,
not
but
just,
well-
and we don't want the vocal minority dictating with
Well,
it.
whatever.
But
I
anyway,
don't
a 3/4
care
I
anymore.
know, but 3/4 inch might not be wide enough. It might be an inch.
Renee, then you guys all decide what's gonna look beautiful and
Inch.
I'm good.
Okay, I think it's gonna be 1 inch, candidly.
Okay.
I'll get Bob Johnson to provide us a quote for both the 3/4 inch and 1 inch, and maybe see if I can even acquire a physical sample for the meeting of 3/4 inch. and
You
1
could
inch.
probably go to like Home Depot and get a sample or something like that. Just so they can see like what the size would be.
Yeah,
Or
and then,
or the marina, Jensen's Marina, go see what a 1 inch rope looks like. They got it there.
and get the plants up. Did Jennifer order the plants?
I thought she did. I'm not sure. I need to follow up on that. That's something that kind of fell through the cracks.
Okay, yeah,
on
follow up
my
on the
radar.
plants because Mike Boris has a group of people to plant.
Oh, nice.
And she's also supposed to be speaking with whoever owns the Mucky Duck to try to get them to plant in front of theirs so they take more ownership for the destruction.
Mhm.
Okay?
Hmm.
And then
Okay.
get up the signs.
Okay, a knot and rope supply for a 600-foot spool. It's $147, but there's discounts for So figure, let's see, that's five, that's 8, 9 times 600 times $1.47. That's it. But still, if he and two guys, they're gonna dig a few out, they're gonna add a few in, but the real labor here is readdressing and drilling all the poles. And, and if he wants like 20 grand, his actual physical cost is gonna be 7. And if he can do it.
Renee, we are spending so much money on this thing from a staff perspective.
Right. No, I'm trying to figure out what's a good bid. He might be underbidding is my point. I mean, that's a lot of
Well,
labor.
he
but
could
2
be,
weeks.
Um,
But Dan, listen, Dan, get a bid, just get a breakout. You just want to take off and a breakdown, that's all. And then
Got it.
we can talk to the board on Monday and say, this is what we're gonna do. And that's that.
You
Right.
got it.
All right, so that's that.
Renee, oh wait, I'm sorry. I was gonna say there's requested addition in South Seas that Mr. Walter's already tracking, and was one addition requested in the Gold Coast, but we've already addressed that with our last 3, so we're good on
All
that.
right, so we have, do you think, you said there's gonna be 60 additional polls to spread out, so
Potentially
maybe,
more. If we get the 2 from Mr. Wiseman, that's 2. Let me.
well, Bob can buy a few extra. We just do what he's gonna
There's a
charge.
lot of them in the dunes. We can use the ones in the dunes.
Well, you want them all brand new, so the bottom line is, Dan, if there's more poles needed, also get a price for an installation, per 10 poles. That's to put the new poles in, should we need them, and the rope. We were paying 900 before.
I'm currently tracking 8 potential removals for poles. So at
That's
10
80.
poles for
That's
access,
80
that's 80 poles.
Minus 3, right? Because 3 are going in those areas that never got in, those big trails. I mean, those easements.
We installed those 3 trails.
Oh, they're already installed. Oh, perfect. Okay,
Yes.
so you have 80 poles. Linda, I
Right.
think they have enough, but if they need more, we just do a separate item with Bob. What's the big deal?
Right.
So, yeah, so we didn't have to worry about that.
So I think you're
Dan,
right. I think we are net neutral maybe.
yeah. So Dan, if you can reach out to him and hit me with hit Linda also with if Linda's interested. I mean, Linda, I'm just saying, if you're
Well,
interested.
I'm interested, but I don't
See-
want to have to worry about sunshine. So I'm letting you make the decision so we don't have to move.
No, but you
I'll
can.
provide an update after this meeting to all the board members,
Yeah.
along with the link to the video so they can go back and watch and
And
see
you
what
can
was discussed.
respond, excuse me, Linda, you can respond direct to staff. You don't have to, that's not sunshine.
Okay, but I don't, if they get different views from us, then we have to go, well, what about this? What about that? That's the thing.
Well, Monday there's a meeting, but this thing has to be done by Monday. There's no reason to.
Right, so get it taken care of and
And Dan, good job for getting the dynamics done. I'm just saying, Bob Johnson just throwing a number out there. Let's not do that. Just get a professional bid, see what tell him what the real scope of work is
Yes.
and make it right. That's all. So
Okay.
that everyone's on the same page.
Okay.
yes, and Bobby knows how to make it.
Um,
He's good at
I'll
that.
reach out to them, yes.
Okay, and also I'd said something to Jennifer. People are saying we need another trash can at Mucky Duck. I don't know if she talked to you about it. That every Monday morning, everything is overflowing. I don't know if that's all true. Maybe on Mondays you could go look and see what it looks like. But this is, people in the village are saying that we need more trash cans.
Doesn't Bob remove the trash? Is that the gentleman's name?
Yes, Bobby
Okay.
removes, we can call him Bobby, actually. It's
All right,
okay.
so Bobby, why not, is a suggestion, why not just ask Bobby to bring his camera, his phone, and take a picture of it when he goes to throw it out on Monday and see if they're,
Yeah. Well, and
that would
also-
be, just take
also-
pictures, just show what the conditions are, just so we have an
Daniel?
idea.
Back to some of Renee's comments. Go out you know, meet him there, look at it, talk to him. You guys get out in the community. I think it's a good idea for you guys to be out in the community. I was even thinking next year, you know, the CCA does stuff. I don't know if that's but you know, figuring out ways for you all to be in the community, be on the beach occasionally, be here, be there, and with your little CEPD shirts. I don't know, just ideas, but go make friends with Bobby. He's
They
a
are
good,
friends already, aren't they? Aren't you guys pals with Bobby?
yeah, be friends with him and ask him
Yeah,
if
we are.
They're
he
pretty
thinks
close
we
to him
need it.
already.
Well, ask if he thinks we need it, because I haven't found him to, he does a lot of work around Sunset Captiva. I have not found him to be overcharging us. If so, other people would be on him. So
I know that at one point we were talking about replacing the trash can at the entrance to Andy Rossi Lane to the beach to match the trash cans that we have in the Allison Hager parking lot, but I'm not sure the status of that, because the ones at Allison Hager parking lot are larger, so that may alleviate the issue as well. But I can talk to Bob about that when I get the quote as well and gather his thoughts, and we can.
yeah,
go
why
back.
don't you two talk and come up with a recommendation for us based upon what you think will work and what you think will look okay and people will like, okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, start thinking that way. You may be thinking that way already. I don't continue thinking that way about what you think these people will like. And if you want some people to talk to about it, I will give you some citizens. You can call Lee Childers up, for example, and he will tell you what he likes. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, so, Dan, is there anything else you want to bring up to us before we sign off? Any
I think
comments?
that's the gist of it. I know that I have a meeting this afternoon. I'm gonna talk with Mr. Sylvia over the phone regarding the write-up that we're gonna propose for Lee County for this adjustment.
Right.
And I found in the math that Dr. Strong did, his initial study, as we were talking last week at the workshop, already accounted for a 3.5% adjustment for red tide. And so, but he had also mentioned in his report that we'd already sought, you know, the adjustment for South Seas and Tween Waters. Well, we haven't officially sought anything from the county, so we would be looking at a 36.5% adjustment to numbers within the formula. And I've worked through and I've applied those to both the beach visits as well as the value of the beach. And I believe that we have a strong argument with, you know, on our behalf to support both the number of beach visits as well as the beach value per visits, given the rental unit rates. And, you know, this is all also stemming from that conversation I had with Mr. Mullins.
Right.
And we'll be refining that. And
What are we talking in dollars? I mean, again, just approximate from where we are now.
if we can successfully defend our stance to apply it to both of those numbers, it could be upwards of $500,000 to $600,000.
Okay.
It all depends on the funding coming through from the state and federal. Of course, the more federal and state dollars that come in, the less total dollars from the county, because the county's percentage is based off the leftovers from the state. But we're looking at almost a 5% funding or cost share swing potentially.
Okay. And then Linda, I don't know if you were at the last meeting, but when Dr. Strong was talking about meeting it in the middle, that there was a,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And when Bob was advocating about, oh, I agree, because I said, well, why not 75%?
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and what Bob was advocating, and also Dick Pyle was too, just say, wait a second, if he's willing to say it's worth more money, that's less money we taxpayers have to pay. And I was shocked at, I don't think, do you think they understood what they were saying? No, give
I
us
think-
less money.
No, I think they understood in that what they were talking about is occupancy rates and number of people on the beach and projecting into the future. And so I think that Bob was talking about what they're using in their business cases as to it's going to be a, what is it, 7.5% or 12% or whatever increase. You were suggesting 75% based upon stay vacations and things like that, which I thought was an interesting point and made sense. But then Bob saying that when Europe opens up, South America opens up, the Caribbean opens up, it'll all the cruise ships open up, that's going to offload us as well. So the number that they're using is 50%. So that all sounded
Right.
reasonable for me.
Yeah, no, because what I'm thinking is you're selling your home and you're asking the person, do you think you could do a little bit better? And your partner says, no, I think he's right. It should be less money. Like, don't say that.
Well,
I think that they're looking at it from different
That was a
perspectives.
$200,000 comment.
well, I'm into what do I think the reasonable number is, not what do I think the politically correct or the number that will give us the most money.
Right.
And so I think the fact that Bob Walters is in the biz for projecting what his occupancy rates are going to be, I think he knows more than I do.
Right. But their
Can
numbers.
I make a point, Mr. Revelle?
Yes.
What?
I was going to say with this reduction, this proposed 50% reduction, I think that if we reduce it by 50%, it's done for more of a budgeting, like a floor model. Like, okay, we can, this is at the least, it's going to be at this, where there's somewhere in the middle where there's a potential, say if South America doesn't fully open or whatever, where we still maintain more people on the beach here. So there's this big gap in between them, and maybe the sweet spot somewhere in the middle. But at this point, I think that maybe with the time being of the essence as it is, maybe we don't have the time to make that argument. But I think maybe that sweet spot is not a reduction of 50%, but maybe a reduction of 45, 40%, somewhere in that
Well,
frame.
I'm
That's from my
for
novice
being
perspective.
overly precise and not increasing in accuracy.
Well, the irony is we never got an opportunity to hear Dr. Strong ask if he was willing, because the meeting was closed before
True,
Dr. Strong was even given an opportunity to say, yeah, I can bring it up a little, or whatever reason. I mean, the goal here is, we don't have the Fed money anymore. And
I do not, I am not up on the funding models. I'm not up on the grant models. I'm not up on any of this, and I'm not intending to be this time around.
yeah. Well, no, and that's understandable. I'm just trying to explain that what was basically being discussed was if Dr. Strong signs a document saying these are the numbers, hopefully that's good enough for the county, because they're just going with his
Right.
signature.
I think that's what we should do.
So thus, when Commissioner Sylvia and I, the economist, said, I agree with Mr. Maville's point about the 70%, a 30% reduction, it was basically another $200,000 or $300,000. So I was like, I understand why they said it. I'm just don't understand why they said it. Because it's basically, you're saying, okay,
I understand.
for where you
Renee.
work, you just cost them another 200 grand.
Renee, I get your point.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to illustrate.
Okay, I get your point completely.
Because
I
I
don't
didn't know if it was understood, because it does sound confusing. Yeah. All right, so Dan, anything else? And also, great work. Dan is the one who is, digging in and cleaning it up again and hopefully making us more money. So
Yes, well,
he's
you
doing a great job.
all may remember what I think of. No, I'm not going to say that. Thank you.
Mm.
That we'll talk about that for the next set of beach renourishments. Okay, and James, what have you been up to?
I've been working on getting a lot of the meeting stuff here together. I've been helping Dan when he's need to pull up information. Been dealing a lot with the park mobile switchover.
Okay,
Been working with Bob Johnson a lot on getting the parking lot up to snuff, like getting the signs put up and
okay,
as you know, we had the parking meters. Oh, I don't know if you know or not, but we had the parking meters removed from the parking lot because they weren't working anyways. So we had that done. Bob Johnson is also going to be the one that removes the little canopy that was over there. And we're
Okay.
going to work with him on trying to organize the parking lot a little bit better.
Okay.
So we can get more, utilize some more parking space.
Oh, cool. You mean we're going to get, I tell people how much money we are making off that parking lot. I probably shouldn't. I'm just amazed. So, okay. So what do you, and so you're going to continue working on those things for the next month or so? Is that, or?
Yeah, like I'm gonna have on the meeting Monday, I'm gonna do a comparison of what we've done with the mobile parking for the 20 something days we had it up
Mhm.
compared to what we did last year. And the preliminary look from it is we're actually not, it's pretty much about break even. So we're not losing anything by adding the $15 option, and we're not losing anything by switching over to the mobile so far. So
So far,
we're right
so
on
good.
pace. Yeah, so we're right on pace with what we did last year this time.
Okay.
Also, in finality, be aware that, right now there is a substantive revenue with the parking, and that money should be earmarked for future beach renourishments, because there's a lot of competition for funds and grants.
Oh, I
And
think we need to
that,
be saving.
yeah, I'd save every nickel and put as much as we can to the beach renourishment, and not look at as, oh, that's going to be our budget for,
No, no,
for this or for that. It's, I can understand it's very tempting, but just because, like, anything could happen, anything could change. And if
Yes.
we need a beat, and there's a rule that says, no, you can only charge $3 an hour now, or anything can happen. Or South Seas, which I know would love that piece of land. We don't know what's happening, or they're going to try to push us into the other lot. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? So let's look at that as a current win, but not a perpetual win, to be prepared just in case. So I think, look at that as money going in the piggy bank, and not think of it in any other way, shape, or form.
Another question for you guys, and for Nick, is it unreasonable to ask for what the milestones, what your accomplishments are supposed to be from staff and CEPD for the next month? What should we be expecting to happen?
Like you want kind of like an outlook, like what's our scope of work for the next 30 days type thing?
Yeah, but it's more like, oh, yes, or yeah, so just sort of like from a big picture milestones. I mean, I know we have milestones too from the budget. I don't know what has to happen when. I've been hearing we've got to do budget stuff. We have to do this, we have to do that. I don't know what an overall plan looks like. I'd like to know what you're supposed to be doing the next couple months, just so I know what we're doing.
September 1st is a big day for multiple different items, both with.
But
the
Dan,
enforcement
excuse
and
me,
with-
Dan, point of clarification, what Linda's asking is what's on the menu for the next 4 weeks?
Yeah, just so we know.
And it's all going to be culminating and leading up to getting everything ready for that September 1st deadline. The next 4 weeks for me specifically at the top of my agenda is getting the grant submissions in for the federal, the state, and hopefully getting on the agenda for the county to amend for our, adjustment from Dr. Strong and this, of course, and getting everything about the apportionment ready.
If you all could tell us what you're up to, what do you expect to accomplish each month or so? I would like to know, for a variety of reasons.
I think it's a great idea. Dan, my suggestion is what if you and, and James say, look, benchmarks for this month, even Monday meeting, finish off the ropes and poles, get it done. Talk about the grant preparations.
Yeah, so your
Hopefully have a
milestones.
meeting. Yeah, just say, you don't put, let's say by Friday, or like by Wednesday, have your appointment locked in with Commissioner Ruane.
Well,
By,
I don't want to, don't make them do too much detail because we get lost in the detail. I get lost. Who, I don't know. You can handle the
I think
detail.
one of the,
But
one of
like,
the things
okay,
we can do-
you're gonna wrestle ropes and poles and get it all done by when?
well, the
When are we
decision,
gonna- Go ahead.
that's Monday. That's Monday.
Okay, no,
One of the things that
No.
we do currently is we send out an administrative report usually on Friday. I don't believe that Jennifer sent it out because of her eye condition.
Yeah.
But maybe, and not to volunteer any workload for Jennifer, but maybe at the beginning of the month, every month, we can send out in that administrative update, a list of items that we hope to accomplishment. And then the administrative report every other week can be, what
yeah, and I
actually
want
has
to start
accomplished.
getting action items tracked sooner or later, but let's wait. The other thing is that I understand how serious what's going on with Jennifer is you can easily lose the sight in your eye.
It's scary, yeah.
Yeah, and I have had people close to me who have lost the sight in their eyes, and I've had a partially detached retina. She's gonna have to, even though she may not say all of this, she has to lay on her face and on her stomach for at least a
Mhm.
week.
Yep.
Because they
How
shoot
long? How long? I
At
couldn't
least
hear.
a week, at
Right.
least a week.
Right,
And they
right.
shoot gas and oil behind your retina. Oh, it's a mess. And if you don't do this right, it detaches again.
Oof.
Okay? And so what we want is Jennifer to stay with her face down and save her eye, okay? And I
Yes.
think we all need to try to keep her out of things for this week
Mhm.
and for a while and just say, no, we've got it, Jennifer. I don't know.
Well, I think we've established that today, Linda. We haven't asked Jennifer for anything. We're asking Dan to
Oh,
take
yeah,
care.
no. I'm just trying to
I think it's
I'm
pretty
crossing
obvious.
it her too.
add to
I mean,
it.
Dan can pick up the phone and call Pam when John's ready for a meeting with Kevin Rowan. It's real simple. Dan can pick up the phone and get
That's-
Patel on the line. and
That's
talk.
all good, but just let's keep everything very calm for her because this is a huge thing she's going through right now. And I know from personal experience. Okay?
Right.
It's
I
huge,
understand. Of
okay?
course.
And it's terrible. I mean, to have to lay face down
Mhm.
for a week is horrible. So,
Well, let's
okay,
just hope
I will
that she
tell you
has
that
a
I have plus
successful
that
operation.
for
That's all
responding.
we can do. We
okay,
can
guys?
hope that she has successful. All right. Okay, James, also, if you guys can just give a report, this is what's happening, when the parking lot's gonna be more operating, when Bob's gonna get, well, Monday, we have to have the meeting. I guess John will run it and you'll probably, Dan, be sort of the go-to person on behalf of the staff, which is great. It's great. And we'll have a lot of answers, but yeah, what Linda's asking for the month, for example, next Thursday, what's the workshop? Do we know?
This point, there's nothing set in stone.
Right.
I think a lot of it will be
A
based off
general
of. what we-
discussion workshop, if people just want to talk and see what's happening.
Yeah, and then I think a lot of it will be based on what happens on Monday as well, like if action items come up where we need to have everyone talk it out.
Yeah, there you go.
Stuff like
But
that.
just, set the tableau. I think we lost Linda, but you can, that's the bottom line.
We did.
Yeah, we did. We lost her.
She wants to know. She's not like she's been around 30 years and understands how this works. So,
But-
yeah, I would do that. All right,
So,
gentlemen.
good. And I've got some things on tap for the website too, to try to, the turtle nesting season coming on. I'm gonna try to add a few things on there to kind of encompass that and try to educate people and incorporate
Well,
SCCF as well.
Yeah, Lee County sends out a little card about turtle season. It's very cute, and the people keep the card on their table because it's a, pretty little baby turtle. I mean, we don't have to replicate it if Lee County does it to all the homeowners that live on the beach, but yeah, and I don't think, personally, again, my opinion, I don't think we have to go nuts with the social media. I mean, we
Yeah.
are, to a point, but, I'd rather have quality, not quantity. Like the
Exactly.
newsletter. How about a really nice newsletter with beautiful images that people actually want to leave on their coffee table till the next one comes out? It's not that hard. Like a little historical story where the pirates used to come here and have captive prisoners. And then it turns out it was just a story by a guy who lived in Boca Grande. Jose Gaspar really didn't exist, but there was a pirate called Black Caesar in Sanibel, according to the historic. So in other words, throw in a little something. And Dan, the guy who does the newsletter in,
Sebastian?
yeah, ask him for some pointers. It'd be fun too. When you never want to look for something to do. In other words, big picture items. It'd be fun. And then, it's an ascendancy. We want to ascend. All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for putting this on.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
So the workshop is concluded. It's done. And there you have it. See you Monday.
All right, have a good one.
You too. Take care, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.